In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how to write a strong conclusion. Now, you will need to turn your Practice Companion book to page 220. We're going to take a look at that writing model. And what I want you to do is take a look at that fifth and final paragraph. Now, we've already written paragraphs 1 through 4 already, and now we want to have a strong conclusion. So I want you to take a look at that final paragraph, and I want you to make note and answer the question that I have right there on the screen that says, what makes this essay's conclusion effective? So I want you to read through that. I want you to write the answers that you think go along with this question, and then I'll go over them once you finish. So pause the video now. Okay, now taking a look at the essay's conclusion and what makes it effective, first of all, she summarized the main points of her piece. So you will need to write this down in your notes. So first of all, you want to summarize the main points. Now if you're looking at page 220, you can see that she summarizes the main points in those first couple sentences, talking about, if you walk in the woods of New England today, you might come across old walls and fences from days gone by. You may even find an overgrown fountain or root cellar from a settler's home. Okay, then it talks about artifacts of Native American villages are harder to find. Okay, so that's basically summarizing the main points, and then also you need to tie ideas together. Okay, so first of all, summarize the main points of your piece, tie ideas together. So write that down in your notes. You can see that the author ties the ideas together. When she says their towns didn't have as much of an impact on the land despite these important differences, they share many things in common with the settlers' town. So you can see tying the ideas together, talking about how they're different and how they're similar, but not really going very deep into that. And then finally, you want to leave the reader with something to think about. So write that down in your notes as well. So you can see that final sentence, that's going to be the sentence that you leave the reader with something to think about. You don't want to just say, and that's the end of my compare and contrast essay. You want to leave the reader with something to think about. So you can see the author writes, we can see some traces of those similarities in our communities today. So what that does to me as a reader, that makes me think about, in my community, what are some of those traces of Native American and European settlers' towns that I can find in my city today? Okay, so going over this again, you want to include the main idea about your points, or about your piece. You want to tie several ideas together, and then also you want to leave the reader with something to think about. So an example of this, if I'm talking about lacrosse then and now, so we see, as we have seen for Native Americans, lacrosse was sometimes more than just a game. By fighting it out on the field, they often avoided actual battles. Perhaps we could all benefit from turning that difference into a similarity. Okay, so you can see all those different points that I talked about in this conclusion. Okay, so once again, a strong conclusion restates that the topics are similar and different. You want to summarize the main points developed in the paragraph, and also you want to leave the reader with something to think about. Now, as you come today to writing class, you're going to be typing up the conclusion of your compare and contrast essay. Once again, very important to bring your notes along to make sure you include those 3 main parts of a concluding paragraph. So this concludes the video on writing a concluding paragraph for compare and contrast essay. If you have any questions about this topic, please come and see me.